Larian Studios has created an excellent RPG with Baldur's Gate 3. You'll find a vast adventure here, full of characters, locations, choices, combat, and more. There's actually so much here that it can be a little bit overwhelming as you start out. We've survived the Mind Flayers, scoured the Forgotten Realms, and we've come back with these beginner's tips and tricks you should know before starting Baldur's Gate 3. Presented by the United States Air Force. Your journey to greatness starts here. Dive into a world of adventure, innovation, and skill development, where every moment can lead to an exceptional future. When you create your character, focus on creating someone that you're interested in playing as, rather than creating someone that can solve every potential problem. This is a role-playing game after all, with an emphasis on role-playing. Like real life, it's impossible to be good at everything, but many of your potential teammates can fill the gaps in your skill set. So it won't be long before you have a slew of complementing abilities and classes at your disposal. As you allocate your ability points, keep in mind that you won't gain ability bonuses for abilities that land on an odd number. The ability bonuses only increase for each 2 points that you put into certain abilities, so try not to leave any stats with points in the middle. If you do this, there's a potential for you to select certain feats that add ability points to your stats later, which helps you get those even number ability bonuses for use on certain skill checks. Once you start the game and progress through the Nautiloid, you'll reach an encounter where a Mind Flayer is fighting Commander Zalk. If you defeat him, you can loot his Everburn Blade, hopefully with enough time to reach the controls and end the encounter afterwards. It's a tough fight, so you may need to reload the save a few times to bring the commander down, but his weapon is an excellent two-handed greatsword that can either give you an advantage in early fights or be sold for a decent amount of gold. Baldur's Gate 3 is a robust sandbox that provides you with many opportunities to do whatever you want.
It's ours. All of it.
This means that dialogue options are numerous, but also your gameplay options during combat and exploration are vast as well. By using generic commands like hide, jump, shove, dip, and throw, you can act out many different potential actions. Throw potions to heal faraway allies when they're in strife. Use your strongest characters to shove enemies off ledges for massive damage. Shoot objects suspended from the ceiling to send them crashing down on your foes. The world is your playground, so experiment and try to indulge those thoughts of, I wonder if I can do this, because you probably can. To unlock the ability to respec and resurrect dead teammates, you'll need to find Withers. He's located inside the Dank Crypt, which can be found near the ruins to the north of the Nautiloid crash site. Once you meet him, he will be waiting at your camp whenever you need to make use of his services. He can help by resurrecting a dead teammate, respecing your character, or recruiting hirelings, all for a price.
As thou desire.
Not only are these incredibly valuable options to have available, but it's also good to have more company back at camp.
My services are all that I can proffer thee.
This tip may not appeal to the hardcore role players out there, but if you want to avoid being stuck with the consequences of a bad dice roll or a calamitous combat scenario, you can always reload your save. We recommend saving before big encounters, important conversations, or when entering into a new and unknown environment to give yourself some peace of mind. There's so much stuff to collect and gather in Baldur's Gate 3, so if you're something of a loot goblin, you'll no doubt fill up your inventory quickly. To help you keep things organized, when sorting through your inventory, you can highlight objects and select Add to Wares. This will mark the particular item as something you would like to sell in the future. Then, when you're bartering with a trader, you can choose the Sell Wares option to immediately sell everything you designated as wares all at once. Just like in D&D, you'll notice that your magic users only have a set number of spell slots. You'll only have a handful of slots, so it is easy to burn through them if you're using spells thoughtlessly. Spell slots are recharged when you take a long rest back at camp, but long resting consumes supplies and time, so it's not something that you want to be doing every 5 minutes. To make sure that your wizards and warlocks are active in combat, make frequent use of cantrips. These are simple spells that do not require spell slots to be cast, which can then free you up to use your more powerful spells later in more difficult encounters. Press the Alt key or R3 to highlight lootable objects near your character. If you're on controller, you can also hold X or A to create a search area around your character to help you filter through nearby objects, which is especially useful in buildings or locations with lots of containers. Keep an eye out for areas you might be able to jump to. Baldur's Gate 3 has a large range for jumping both forward and up, so if you find yourself stuck on a certain area wishing that you could explore the other side of a creek, see if there's some footholds that you can jump to. Combine jumping with scrolls or spells of Featherfall, and you can even jump down massive descents without taking fall damage. Looking through each character's inventory to find a specific piece of equipment is a pain. Instead, select the character's equipment slots. This will show you a list of all available equipment that this character can use for that specific slot, with options pulled from your whole party's inventory. You can right-click or press down on the D-pad to examine items, NPCs, teammates, enemies, and more. This is a useful way to learn more about resistances, current conditions, and statistics. If you're not sure what a condition is on yourself or a companion, you can hover over the condition on a mouse and keyboard or turn tooltips on to learn more. Whether this is your first foray into the Forgotten Realms or you're a seasoned adventurer, now you're armed with the tips and tricks you need to live to tell the tale. For more on all things Baldur's Gate 3, stay tuned to IGN.com.